Hello, I'm John Strehlow, and I'm sitting here in Alice Springs in the Strehlow Research Centre working on the second volume of the book about my grandparents. Who were in Central Australia about 100 years ago at the Hermannsburg mission, and they have appeared really only very little in the story of my father, who is a person most people know, and I thought that I would like to put them back into the history properly. I think I would say that people do have all sorts of ideas about the family which are perhaps rather different from how I see things. Part of the reason why I got stuck into the book in the first place was that I realised that if I didn't say my side of the story, perhaps then things would go down in a way that I thought was actually quite incorrect in certain key things. So being Australia, I suppose, means perhaps feeling slightly out of step with everybody else on things connected with, say, Central Australia and the Aboriginal population here especially, because that's really what the family was involved with, both in terms of language and ceremonies and social life and education and health and so on. This sort of thing never occurs unless the people whose culture is being recorded want that to happen. And very early, that's to say really, I would say from about 1898, that's when it really started in a big way. And they were very keen that it should be recorded. And they worked very closely, and of course to some extent you would have to say that the people at Hermannsburg really taught the family everything they know, because that's actually what it is. My grandmother's diaries are very extensive. We're talking thousands of pages, not necessarily all big pages, but thousands, because she was here a very long time. We're talking 27 years. And she obviously got completely caught up in the whole Aboriginal exchange to the same degree as my grandfather did. And I think it was the fact that they were a team, if you like, and they both worked together. She learned Aranda as he did. I don't know that she learnt it to the same standard, but also too, she became very involved with the Aboriginal women. And I had never heard anything about this, but when I went into it, I could see that she actually had a huge impact on infant mortality. I think the infant mortality thing is really one of the most important things perhaps in the history of white settlement of this country, and that's really was her field. That's what she was really, because she did of course do other things, but she was very preoccupied with that. Of my father, there's always been this slight problem in Aboriginal communities that they don't like to mention the names of the dead. But that's sort of broken down a lot, but it was very strong at one stage. And also too, my grandfather's been dead for a long time. He's been dead for 90 plus years, so that's a long time. So there'd be nobody around who knew him or met him, whereas when I first came to the territory there were. And yes, I had a very good experience there at Hermannsburg, but I needed to be introduced as anybody else does, because they like to check you out first, and I think what people get wrong in all this is they are controlling the information, and if they don't want you to know something, you won't find it out, and if they do, you probably won't be able to escape knowing it. It's that level, and that's where a lot of people get things completely wrong. They see themselves as in control. And I'm hoping volume 2 will be smaller, but I did feel that there was a huge amount that had to be included, and also I felt that there was an extraordinary story there, which, if you're interested in frontier life and pioneer life and journeys that last 25 or so days to get here from Adelaide back then, is the sort of thing that I think that might well appeal to you.